This is Curtis, and I'm here to talk a little bit about how to preserve muscle, lean muscle, when you're dieting. A lot of times, a lot of people ask me how to come down and at the same time build muscle. The problem with that is that once you start to diet, it's more about muscle preservation, more so than building muscle. Building muscle tends to happen when we're in what's called the off season, trying to put on that extra size. When you start to diet for cutting, you're more of in preservation mode, which means that you're trying to preserve the muscle that you gained in the off season so that you don't lose, or you try to prevent as much muscle loss as possible while cutting. There's a lot of different things you can do. First of all, eating is probably the most important thing you want to make sure you're doing when you're dieting for to get that lean muscle mass. You got to make sure that protein is nice and high. Usually, the rule of thumb, of course, a lot of people know anywhere from 1.5 to 2 grams of protein per pound daily. I know that sounds like a lot of protein, but you want to try to get that in when you're dieting. You're probably not going to be able to consume that much protein on a daily basis all year round, nor do you probably want to for obvious reasons. Of course, you start to have a lot of issues when it comes to consuming that much protein every single day, 365 days a year. You don't really have to do that. But if you're dieting, the average diet can be anywhere from 12 weeks, sometimes a little longer. Depends on what kind of condition. What I mean by condition is your body fat level, your fitness level, if you're a competitor, if you're an everyday working person, if you're new to getting in shape, getting down to a lower body fat, otherwise known as cutting that body fat to come down. Now, getting back to the diet, you want to try to make sure that you, of course, got the protein. Then you want to make sure you have all your necessary green vegetables. Broccoli is something that I tend to use. Some people do salads. Sometimes salads aren't the favorite or the most desired because simple fact that you can't use the actual salad dressings that you like to use. Although you could use other things like vinegars and lemon and things like that. But usually broccoli is a real good one. Some other green vegetables without all the extra toppings and sauces you may use when you're not dieting. Of course, you want to make sure your complex carbs, meaning any brown or grain or white types of carbs, meaning potatoes or white rice or brown rice or oatmeal, any of the types of grain type of complex carbs. You want to make sure you keep those down to a minimum when you're trying to cut and diet down to get lean. Depending on, again, your fitness level, depending on how heavy you are, depending on how your body responds to complex carbs, that can vary. For a lot of people, sometimes complex carbs can go as high as so many 100 grams a day, all the way down to as many as 30, depending on what you're trying to do it for. If you're a model or if you're a bodybuilder, they can go down very, very low to get really, really lean. If you're an average average person not looking to compete, they can go, maybe a little higher because you're not really looking to get that drastic of a change. But you want to make sure you keep those in check and keep those at a minimum and watch your body and see how they respond. Supplements are one of the essentials when it comes to the cutting, the dieting phase. You want to make sure you have your basic supplementation in there as far as the multivitamins and other types of amino acids. You You want to try to make sure you have other things that you may get rid of or that you may need because of your intake of proteins. You know, usually a calcium MAC pill is really good when the protein levels are really high because they tend to negate those levels of calcium. So you want to make sure you can keep those in. You can also do, you know, the different vitamin C's. You can do omega 369s, which are really important when the protein's high. Even you could do, you know, some fish oils for fats, fiber pills. These are all things that help along with dieting to keep your digestive system processing normally or as normal as possible when getting into this type of regimen, this extreme type of diet. And on the more advanced level, you have different types of supplements that can aid with the fat burning process. Of course, you have the fat burning types of supplements. There's so many that out there you can choose from that help the thermogenic state of, you know, getting your body to promote more fat loss by increasing maybe the energy you may have in the gym. So this promotes some fat burning. Then you have the aminos like L-carnitine that can also aid with that thermogenic type of response the body may have. And then you can start to get into some of the harder supplements out there that can help along with it. You have your test boosters, which can really help aid the body in boosting the testosterone that you already have in order to promote more lean muscle when you're coming down. And let's face it, it's all about preserving that muscle. And when you're doing something, you know, like I have here linked, which is a good fat burning, but it's more of a testosterone booster to keep the testosterone levels high enough so that when you're coming down, your body can actually digest the food faster. It can break down the protein a lot faster than normal. Whereas if you didn't have something like this, it tends to take a little longer to break it down. With you know, an androgenic type of testosterone booster, it can definitely aid in doing that. So it metabolizes the food that you eat, especially the protein, breaking it down, and it gets, you know, more into your, you know, you're able to absorb a lot faster than you normally would. And because your testosterone levels are boosted up, it could actually aid in fat burning somewhat and help harden the muscles. So when you are trying to lean down, it definitely will aid in that. But again, you know, it's all about when you're trying to come down. You know, it's not like it's you know, any of these supplements. It's not like it's magic. They're magic pills. It's more of what you do and using these types of tools, like, you know, like linked and other supplements to aid in that. You know, so, you know, they really can make a difference. Of course, you have other things you can stack with these. You know, something like this, you could, you know, after it's finished, you can do like a PCT to help maintain those levels and the gains that you've put on once you're using it. You can also do milk thistle or some sort of liver support while you're doing it, which is important. Another thing you want to make sure is that you keep that water, that fluid intake of water, you know, really high. You know, as I'll do as much as a gallon or more a day, so that you can keep everything going in you. So that's really important. Other than that, you know, it's all about what you do in the gym. Of course, resistance training, weight training, and the time that you've put in prior to dieting is really important. At the time of the diet, when you are doing these supplements, when you are eating hard, you know, training hard, eating a lot of food, dieting, all the hard work that you've put in prior to this is what you're going to see once you start to come down. This point in the diet is more about muscle preservation and keeping and maintaining this while you're coming down and getting lean and getting hard, and that's about it. So any other questions on anything, you could always contact me, curtisfisher1@gmail.com. And that's about it, guys.